In this video, I will be covering part of section 1.7 of Caesar's Gallic Wars in Latin. This will provide the grammar and translation of this little passage. The lines you see here are the first 3 to 4 lines of 1.7. So to start off, I'm going to read the Latin that's given to us. Caesari cum id nuntiatum esset, eos per provinciam nostram iter facere conari, maturat ab urbe proficisci, et quam maximis potest itineribus in Galliam ultiorem contendit et ad Genevam perenit. So to start off, we'll take this first portion, Caesari cum id nuntiatum esset. I added the grammar and the literal translations for each word. Caesari is a dative singular meaning Caesar. Cum is an adverb meaning when. Id is a nominative singular meaning this. Nuntiatum is a nominative singular, perfect passive participle meaning announced, going along with esset, a third singular meaning is. So we can see that this nuntiatum and esset go together, creating this perfect passive participle. And since it is a perfect passive participle, it acts like a verb, and we have to acknowledge that the verb is directed toward Caesar because of the dative singular, which implies that it is to Caesar. So our final translation for this clause is, when this had been announced to Caesar. Moving on to the next portion of these lines is eos per provinciam nostram iter facere conari. We can see that eos is an accusative plural from the os, meaning they, and per is a preposition meaning through, taking the accusative singulars, provinciam nostram. Iter is a separate accusative singular, followed by the two infinitives, facere conari. When observing this clause, we have to see that there is no real nominative, yet there are verbs. This means that this clause is an indirect clause. So when translating an indirect clause, we have to start out with that, and we're given our accusative plural, which will act like the subject, they. So we say that they were trying to make a journey through our province, the accusatives. So what we have so far as a whole is, when this had been announced to Caesar that they were trying to make a journey through our province, and moving on to the next part. The next part of this section reads, Maturat ab urbe proficisci et quam maximis potest itineribus in Galliam ulteriorem contendit et ad Genavam perenit. So putting in the grammar and the literal translations for each word, we have maturat, a third singular meaning hastens, ab, a preposition taking the ablative urbe meaning city, proficisci, an infinitive meaning set out, et, a conjunction, quam, an adverb meaning as, maximis, an ablative plural going along with the ablative plural itineribus, third singular, potest, in, a preposition taking Galliam ulteriorem, accusatives. Ulteriorem, by the way, is a comparative accusative, meaning that it is more. So we see that the translation is more remote. Contendent, a third singular. Et, a conjunction. Ad, a preposition taking accusative, genawam. And the last verb, perenit, a third singular meaning arrive. So without looking at the translated Latin just yet, you can see that I drew a line where there's an implied comma. This comma is the start of a separate prepositional phrase. Other than this separate phrase, the translation of this part is pretty easy. We have, he hastens to set out from the city, and, with as great of marches as he is able, he hurries into the more remote Gaul, and he arrives at Geneva. So as a whole, this whole passage reads, "When this had been announced to Caesar, that they were trying to make a journey through our province, he hastens to set out from the city, and, with as great of marches as he is able, he hurries into the more remote Gaul, and he arrives at Geneva."